let's talk ring gap. The who, the what, and the why. All along after the intro, and we'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in. We're back with Ring Gap 101. And this is our first and second rings for this motor behind us. They've been gapped 16 and 8 or 18 and 20 thou because I got overzealous with the ring filer. Drop it in, square it up, measure, move to your filer, take a little off, do it again. Get overzealous, your ring gap winds up fat. The only thing you want fat in life is your wallet. If you're like me, that's a bit skinnier than I am. Oh, now that the fat joke's out of the way. Alright. Ring gap. You just don't want rings butting together. Anytime that they butt together, you normally want you want a little bit of clearance so they can do this number right here. And it's kind of like the similar poles on magnets. You always want them to stay away from each other. When they become like north and south poles on a magnet and they do this number, they do this number. When that happens, top of the ring land, it leaves chat. If it does additional damage, Uncle Rodney comes to town. We don't like Uncle Rodney. He likes to knock. So for normal street build, you're going to use 0.0045 times your bore on the motor. In the case of a LS, you're going to be 3.790 times 0.0045. This should get you somewhere around 13, 14 thou. Get creative with it. You're going to put a little boost to it. We're going to open that number up to 0.0050. You're going to add nitrous, same deal. Little boost, little nitrous, we're going to open her up. There's the math. You're going to put a little more boost or a little more nitrous at it. Go ahead and open them up a little wider. Just like those legs, we always like them spread wide. And, you know, you'll do bore size, in this case, 3.790 times 0.0055. We're going to make 1,000 horsepower of this. We're going to open them up even wider. We're going to go 0.006 times bore size, 3.790. And that'll get you right around 20 thou on this motor, according to my math. At that point, the ring gap isn't your reason why this thing's breaking. There's other odds and ends at risk. And in this case, it's the Gen 3 rods. We ain't worried about them though at 650. So in your rings, you've always got a couple of different deals here. Bring y'all in a little closer for this. Now that I've got us a little closer, let's take a look at these rings. And I'm just going to show both at the same time here. And most of these rings are going to have markings on them in some shape, form, or fashion. In this case, we see a T, and then over here we see standard. That's the bore that it's meant to go in. If you've seen a plus 10, that would be a 10 over 20, same. In this case, we're standard, and then this T over here indicates that that is the top of the ring. These have already been fit. I've still got a little cleanup to do on one or two of the ends here, but let's take a look at this top ring a little closer. And sometimes, see if I can get it to focus in. There we go. There's a bevel on like the inside on one edge of the other down here. Like you can see it really good right there that this thing has a bevel on this side. And that bevel's going to go to the bottom in this case. And honestly, that's more kind of like a D-shaped ring and not even beveled. So, you know, as long as you install it top to the top, and this is going to be the first ring land, you ain't got no issues. And the second one here, and it's got a little bit of a bevel on the bottom of it. There's your top. And while we're here, let's go ahead and check ring gap. We're going to do the second ring. We're going to drop it in the bore, and then I'll set it in there like so, and then I'll lay it flat. Wiggle that up, wiggle that down. And then I'm going to take my piston and we're going to square it up. And I personally like setting my rings a touch deep in the bore. It's a me thing, and I don't like how deep that one is. So we're going to raise it up and try again. This block hasn't been final cleaned or anything of that nature. So don't get all uppity in the comments. Oh my God, you did this, that, and the other wrong. We ain't done yet. We got another episode or two coming. Actually, I'm going to do it off camera because I've already done a video on it. We're going to do some oil passage mods. So now that I've got the ring installed, and you can see that I've got the gap to the top, I'm going to take my old trusty gap gauge here, and we're going to do some measurements. And I know what these are, but for sanity's sake, we're going to try this the way you would do it at home, or the way you're going to be doing it at first and not already have a ring fit. So we're going to reach in here, we're going to measure this gap. And okay, so never mind. We're going to ask that question off camera. We're probably going to have to get back in this ring because it's not what it's supposed to be. So this one here is got a good tight fit, and we are at 14 thou. Not bad, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm thinking that's supposed to be closer to 20. Let's double check our top ring. You know, definitely doesn't match up to what my clearance sheet said I had on it. And when you're doing this, you want to try and make sure everything's good and square. Good and square. So we're going to go ahead and put our 14 thou back in there. And it's loose. Not super loose, but it's loose. More than 1 thou loose. Let's try 16. Still loose. 18, because it's the next one up. There we go. 18 thou. So we're at 18 thou on the top ring. Bottom ring should be 20. This one isn't right according to what we just measured. Try it again. Hey, when you file fitting rings, this is what you go through. And it happens to the best of us. Set this bad boy in there. Looks pretty close, but not square. You know what? We're going to do this a different way. You're going to spin this ring on, which you're not supposed to do, but, you know, they say not to do it. I, on the other hand, and we're going to reach up to make sure that it's flush, like so. And then we're going to remeasure because it's supposed to be 20 thou. If not, we're going to file fit it right here on. We're going to file fit it right here on video. Nope, not quite. Not quite. So pull our ring filer out. Back this bad boy up. And we know that we was cutting off the edge of the ring that was saying top. We're going to make sure both are there. We're flush. And 4 swipes at it. Should be just a little off of it, just a little off the top. And let's square this bad boy back up, shall we? And if you put a ring on a piston, it's real simple. You don't even have to have an extra piston. You can use the ones that go in the motor. Mine have metal shavings on them, so we're not. And we got 20 thou. What we're supposed to have. Sweet. And just like that, you now have rings that are fit to your motor, clearanced. And if you decide to, in this case, if I decide to send it to the moon, it's ready. But we're hoping it don't meet its maker or the scrapyard before then. And that, nope. We ain't done yet. We're gonna run over ring install 101 on the piston. Y'all just watch, or I done that off camera, but I just put a ring on there. And when you're doing this, keep all the rings mated to the cylinder they go in. And in this case, we're just going to do them right like so. And we're going to grab oil rings. And so there's ring part number 41859CP. We're in standard, of course. And these rings have already been opened and kind of pilfered through because we've done file fit everything to the block. And for the oil ring, you'll need one of those and two of these. And we're going to start at the bottom and work our way to the top. We're going to start with oil ring. We're going to put our oil scraper in. And you don't want that overlapping, because there's enough give in that ring, and you kind of need a little tension on it so it'll do its job of removing oil from the excess oil from the cylinder wall. And on these, I see no markings and they look the same. So for the second one, we're going to take, and I'm going to spin one on the bottom side of that ring. And then I'm going to take, I'm going to turn the piston, and then we're going to swap one on to the top side of that ring. We're just going to offset those. So now, make sure something ain't feeling right there. If something don't feel right, undo it and figure out what's going on. Because in that case, that ain't supposed to be doing that. So we're going to undo what we've done, and we're going to try it again. Or do I have the wrong oil control ring? Because that feels mighty. Yep, that's definitely not the. Try this again. I'm not going to edit much of this out. Y'all can watch the struggle because the struggle is real. Yeah, one more time around the bottom. Okay. And then one more again around the top. Most people would use a ring expander and put them on that way. I've had good luck and bad luck doing it. Man, something about that section of the ring land that don't feel good. Good news is this is not a piston I'm currently planning to use. So for the demo, we're just going to proceed because none of this stays on there anyway. So there is a ring that's stated at top, and we're going to roll her on there, right like so. And now we're going to take that. Boom. There we go. What the hell? I bet you there's a burr on there causing it to hang. Not a problem. We'll fix that before it's final assembled. And we're going to roll this one on there. Make sure we got top to the top. We do. And voila, just like that, we got all 3 rings installed. Use your ring compressor of choice, squeeze it in there, and in this case on LS motors, dot to the front. And then you'll squeeze it in, drop it in, make sure you put a little oil on it. My personal favorite is transmission fluid in that area. Tends to work really well. And has a little bit of agent in it to kind of help seat the rings, in my opinion. You're going to use your own preferred choice of break-in method. But that's been Ring Gap 101. How you file them, how you fit them, and how we're going to put them on the pistons in this 3.8 grenade build. So down in the description below, I'm going to post a few links, such as the Wasco article that I referenced earlier, the measurements I used for ring gaps, the formula I used on how to do it, because it all makes a difference. These motors, yeah, you can just slam them together and they'll live, or you can slam it together and then you're taking it back apart when it breaks. In my opinion, I mean, this is a grenade. We know it might blow up. We're okay with it. We're not proud of it. We're gonna make sure that if it blows up, it's not a part installation error. It's parts failure. That's the goal. And if it don't blow up because it's got the nickname grenade on it, well, it's gonna live a long, very abused life. It'll be okay.